So you have a 14-year career, and you end up playing mostly with the Lakers, but you bounced around a couple other teams as well, and end up coming back to the Lakers to finish it out. And then in comes in a 18-year-old kid named Kobe Bryant, which is ironically going to foreshadow your coaching career a little bit later on.
Yeah.
He comes in at 18 years old. What is 18-year-old Kobe like? What is he like coming into the league?
Young, enthusiastic, aggressive, confident. You know, he was just different at 18 than most 18-year-olds that you would see, especially put in that situation, being in the NBA, on the Lakers Showtime team, not the Showtime team, but the Laker organization, you know, playing with Shaq. You know, you had Nick Van Exel there, you had Eddie Jones. You know, so he came in not fearing anything. You know, I mean, you know, he was already, you know, long and tall and athletic and, you know, could shoot the ball. But he just didn't bag down to anybody. You know, he just had a work ethic about him, even at 18, that a lot of 18-year-olds don't have. You know, he wasn't a guy that was going out partying and things of that nature. He had a goal in mind from the day he stepped on the basketball court when he got drafted. And that was to be the greatest player that he could possibly be. And that's what he told me. He said, I want to be one of the greatest players in the history of the game. You know, and I had watched this kid for months, and I was just amazed on how talented he was, but I was also more amazed on his work ethic.
Yeah. So I want to, because I don't think people realize that you coached for 17 years. I mean, that's a long coaching history there.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive into that. But since we're talking about Kobe, I want to kind of continue that on a little bit. So the foreshadowing is that you end up playing with him at 18 when he's 18 years old. And you end up coaching in his last couple years in the NBA. Specifically, you know, his last year, his kind of farewell tour in the NBA. And you coached his very last game, which, you know, if anyone has watched that game, I mean, I know so many of you have watched that game, but what an incredible, incredible display that he put on for that last game. What was that last game? You're coaching Kobe Bryant. What was that last game like?
Well, if you haven't watched that game, something wrong with you guys. You got you got to watch that game and see how he started in the middle part and how he ended. Coaching that game, you know, the first thing in his last year, my biggest concern was to make sure I got him to game 82 relatively healthy. You know, you play 82 games in the NBA, you're not going to be healthy. Something's going to be hurt. You know, you're going to have some type of, you know, injuries that not going to, you know, probably prevent you from playing, but you know it's going to take you longer to get ready and all that stuff because you got to get your treatment and things of that nature. So that was my first goal: get him to 80, you know, game 82, relatively healthy. Was able to accomplish that goal, you know, and then starting that game, you know, the only thing I wanted for Kobe was to have a good game. You know, not a great game, just have a good game, you know. And he started off 0 for 5, and I was just standing there going, you know, this is just not the way I want him to go out.
Right.
I think the next time down he gets fouled, he goes to the free throw line, hits a couple of free throws, and then that basically got him rolling. You know, and coaching him for that game and watching this game materialize through the first quarter to the fourth quarter, and remembering with like 6-minute mark left, you know, he's at like 40. You know, and I looked up like, oh my God, I can't believe this. You know, this. You know, what a way to go out, you know, and he's huffing and puffing over there on the bench, you know, because he's just exhausted. And I remember going back and saying to him, I said, you got 6 more minutes in that body of yours? And he said, absolutely. You know, I mean, like that, absolutely. I mean, he was that tired. And to go back out for the next 6 minutes and get 20 more points, you know, it was just amazing. But it also showed me his will, you know, I mean, because he did that all on just will. I mean, he was so tired. You know, he was dead. I mean, you know, the second half, I just told the coach, I said, I'm not taking him out. He's going to have to foul out. He's not getting no rest. You know, the only rest he's going to get is during timeouts. So Gary Vitti, tell me when there's one of those timeouts that I need to take, you know, just to get him a little bit more rest. I'm not taking him out the game. But to watch him, you know, go out that way and to win the last game, you know, at 37 years old, I don't think we will ever in our lifetime see a performance like that. From a guy who's retiring, you know, Michael Jordan didn't have a performance like that. You know, Magic, Kareem, none of those guys had something where, 60 points in your last game is just incredible. And it was just great to watch it. And I still visualize it to this day, and especially the end part where he comes over and he gives Shaq a hug because Shaq is sitting there. He gives Gary Vitti a hug. He comes up to me, gives me a big hug, and tells me he loves me, and I tell him the same thing. And I pat him, and he walks over to the bench, and it was just a moment that I'll never forget.
What do you feel like? There could be so many answers to this, but you had a special relationship with him, and that you were there at the very beginning of his career. You were there at the very end of his career. Just tell us a little bit about what is the legacy that Kobe leaves for all of us.
Man, I think the legacy is pretty simple. It's Mamba mentality. That's what he was always about. Mamba mentality. He didn't take no prisoners. He didn't take days off. He played every game like it's his last. He played every practice like it's his last. He treated every day like this could possibly be my last day of ever being on the basketball court. And I think a lot of us take that for granted. His mentality of having that type of mentality that, you never know about tomorrow, so why not, get the best out of what you can do today. And that's how he kind of treated it. He treated that way, I think, on the basketball court. I think he treated that way in life in general, and if people don't get anything from, Kobe's legacy and what he was able to accomplish, that's the one thing you should get.